we're out of guys, how do we get guys healthy? It was a lot of things that, fitting guy pieces together, trying to figure out different things along the way. So it was challenging for everybody emotionally, as we all know, because when you're not getting results, it's a gut punch. The guys stayed together. We felt like we had some better performances than our results had probably warranted, but we were conceding goals in bad ways and unable to finish some chances, and that's not a winning formula. But we felt like through stretches we had some solid performances that we couldn't get anything out of. So we tried to just stay focused on that, the process, trying to improve, trying to work on some details. And sometimes when big things aren't working, it's hard to get to little things, and the little things were making the difference for us through a lot of games. But yeah, we found some stability, and then we were able to, I think, get into a rhythm, start to see more of our principles. The speed of our game started to pick up a little bit more. When we're a good attacking team, we're a better defending team too, and I think those things started to fit together because oppositions were now having to deal with us. We found a transition game again. We had no transition game at the beginning of the year, with Joe out and Gabe in and out, and so it was a process. But we learned a lot about ourselves. We learned a lot about the necessary pieces that we need to really function how we want to. And we had a good sense, but just where we are, we've learned a lot. So we have to take that. We've got to do some good off-season work with it. And we got to come in ready to fire right from the beginning because we may be into it really quick. But we'll see.
Great. I know we talked about Elijah, and I think we talked about John Nelson a bunch, but in this game tonight, they both seem like they had standout games again. I mean, what does it say for Elijah that he looks comfortable in the system, he's pressing the pace, he's finding outlets, he's creating some space on his own? I mean, how much of a jump forward has he made just in almost seems like half a year, really?
Yeah, I really think he was in his head a lot of the early first part of the season, and it's not abnormal. And I think he was just trying to process a little bit of how our system functions, what his role was going to look like, the speed of the game in MLS. We weren't winning games, which always puts a little bit of weight on things. So I think actually by taking a step back and taking a little bit of time to work in training and to watch some games where we actually played well and some things function, and talking to him as the season progressed, he's like, I feel a lot more comfortable with what we're doing now and what I need to do. And then it just became repetitions. He's got great power. He can really cover ground. He has soft feet for a big man. One of the things I think he really did tonight was his running through the line created more space in front of Gabe to be able to attack. We saw Gabe less standing on the ball, but more, especially in the first half, driving with the ball, moving forward, which is where Gabe is at his best. He had a couple shots kind of trailing in the space behind Elijah. They were able to play Elijah in a few times. So I felt like he did a great job of creating forward momentum on that side of the field, which also I felt like it really helped Gabe, which is something he's been missing, I think, over the course of the season. He's been trying to change the speed of the game, and I think he's best when the speed of the game has been changed for him, and now he just needs to keep up with it. So I think he had an impact on others, not just himself and the team. And again, I think he's learning. I think you see a lot of confidence in him now. I think a lot of clarity in his mind. And that gives you a lot of, I think, him and all of us a lot of comfort when you're on the field, and now his natural qualities are starting to come out. So I was really pleased with him. And John was a machine again today. He had a couple of different roles. In the first half, he was getting a little higher up the left side. In the second half, we held him a little closer in the build. Then we switched from building in a 3 to building in a 4, so his roles kind of changed in there. But defensively, he has such a good instinct and feel for things. And sometimes he puts out fires and he reads some things that are unique to John, because he has that, probably his tendencies a little shifted towards the defending side and a little less on the attacking side, which is, I thought he was excellent in that regard tonight. So I was proud of him. I saw his dad. I told him he was outstanding tonight, and so we all saw the same thing.
And any significance with the minutes for Eric there at the end?
Maybe, but not necessarily. I think it's kind of still to be determined, but it leaves it in a position where anything can be considered here as we go into that.
Hey, Greg, first off, just in this game, what's going on with Peck not getting back into the game, and then Yamani not letting this up again?
Those are the new rules that we have to abide by. So, I mean, this one I don't understand. Their guys run into each other. One of them gets up and fine, the other one's down, and we have to get help. He gets to come off and go right back on. Their guy puts a forearm shiver into our guy who goes down, no fouls called, he needs help, and then he has to stay out for 2 minutes. That one I don't understand. I understand the rule, but I don't understand how it doesn't get applied in one situation but applies in another. I understand the nuance of their two guys running into each other, but he needed assistance, right? And it was through no fault of theirs or ours, I guess, but I didn't get it, but that's why Gabe got treatment on the field, and it wasn't a yellow card, and it wasn't a head injury, and so therefore he had to sit out. And so, we're trying to prevent time wasting. So sometimes there's logical situations that are time wasting, but anyways, that's the rule. With Mickey, Nasi evidently took too long to get off the field, and so then Mickey has to stay off the field for a minute. But then a minute could become 5 minutes. It all depends on when the next stoppage of play is. And so, anyways, I showed my frustration in the rules.
That first one, it's like, okay, so if I go and I knock some guy down and he needs assistance, it helps my team. Maybe I should knock more guys down.
There's a lot of different logics. I can tell you, it's in some ways I understand it later in games when guys like to go down with cramps and hang around and it slows down the game and it does stuff. It has taken a lot of that away, to be fair to the rule. I just think there's other times that are, especially when you have VAR and they're more logical and you can go, hey, he took it in the ribs, this isn't a whatever, or it's a logical moment that people aren't wasting time, then that's when I have a hard time and I get frustrated. But it is what it is.
You guys finished, 26th overall? You finished ahead of Kansas City in the West? Celebrating?
I'm not celebrating now. Sorry, I'm not celebrating it. There's nothing great to celebrate about that. I think we remain focused on our process. I think we had improvements through the course of the year. I think we finished with 2 wins. We learned a lot about it. We saw players come forward who are young and are going to really benefit from this last stretch, and the group really fought till the end. The group took a Champions League spot out of a tougher tournament. There's a lot of positives to take, but our standing is not one of them.
As you were going through the year and figuring things out, and players becoming better acquainted with the league, better in tune with your system, players coming back in from injury and all of that, and you're really experimenting and trying different things. The things you look at that you ended up settling on that you feel that you might have been able to figure out earlier, and the one that comes to mind with me is, when Diego went into midfield, it just changed everything. Might that have been something to figure out earlier?
Maybe, that coincided with Marco getting healthier, and it coincided with Joe getting healthy, who missed the first part of it, because as Joe came onto the wing, then that afforded us a little bit more, moving Diego into the middle. As Marco gets healthier, it gives us the chance to maybe drop Diego back. But then there also Nasi got healthy and kind of came along, which gave us a little bit more. For me, it was a little bit of timing on each of these things that allowed us to kind of get there. And then you're trying to settle him into the league, and Elijah trying to settle into the league. So as we got healthier, things started to, again, healthier, and a couple guys settled in, things start to piece together, and it helped us. It helped me to find better solutions as well, and I don't put that on everybody else. It was just again, the balance of things on the field started to look a little more appropriate for how we want to play the game. And so it also brought a transition game into us. And if you think about the team last year, we would get on top of teams 1-0 or whatever, and then our transition was as good as anyone in the league. And so when teams had to come out and play against us, they had Joe, Gabe, Ricky, Dan, these guys running and breaking lines and then putting the game away. We couldn't get on top of games, and then we didn't have that ability to break away if we were. So it just kind of a timeline and things piecing together, and guys coming together.
Hey, Greg. Thanks for talking to us. Congratulations on the win today. You mentioned that the team ended the year by beating 2 playoff teams. The team also won 3 of the last 4. When you see that, does that make the beginning of the season a little bit harder to stomach, or does it give you a reason for optimism for 2026? And then, sidebar to that, what does it say to you that the team was able to dispatch this Minnesota United team, a top 4 team in the league, with relative ease? I mean, no big chances on goal today. Thank you.
Yeah, I think The beginning of the season was frustrating. I don't know if it can get any more frustrating, but it is. The hard part was I've always felt like even at the beginning of the season, if we could get a little more healthy, get a little bit more of our pieces, the balance of things would work out for us, and maybe that would translate into results. We couldn't find those plays inside of games where we could get results. And I always said the margins were just really fine for us, and things had to go well, and we had to be really clean in execution, and we just didn't. So as we got to the second half of the season, I thought we found probably what more our level should be as we kind of came together and got a bit healthier and things started to fit together. So if we'd had more of that stretch, I think we would be in a different position for sure. But the season is the season, and you go through the ups and downs that it brings to you, and the timeline of which things played out, they did. So, but I was really, as I said, I was happy with the group and the way they battled through the Leagues Cup and the way we finished off the season. I mean, there was a few games inside of the league that we lost in the second half where we kind of rotated and we were playing Leagues Cup and we weren't necessarily focused on the result of the league either, and so we maybe lost a couple potential opportunities inside of that because we were playing, really playing Leagues Cup. So and then there were some games in the second half of the season where I felt like, I think of St. Louis and the goal we give up late there, and San Diego we give up a really late goal there, and I'm sure there's some others along with probably one recently. But there's some others where we just missed out on opportunities to, I feel like in the middle of the season, to put ourselves back into the race with just a few of those games that I brought up there where we might have got ourselves back into the race if we'd have taken just a couple more points in that middle section.
I believe Joseph ends up with the Golden Boot for the team. Can you talk about his impact and what you'd like to see from him next year, like what the next step would be for him? Thank you.
Yeah, I think especially in the second half of the season, I thought Joe, again, we were finding him on the run. He was doing more things in dynamic, direct types of situations. We were finding him behind the back line. Today, he found that ball out on the wing, driving into the box to finish on his right foot. He made a great pass off the post back to himself to finish. So we got a goal and an assist on that, I think. But I think for Joe, he's at his best when we can, again, when we can pick up the speed of the game or find him where he can now just keep the speed of the game. He's at its best. When he has to try to figure out how to take a play that's kind of slow and in possession and then turn it into attack, I feel like that's not when he's at his best. So having a guy like Ricky who changes the tempo and the speed of the game is going to bring new life into Gabe and Joe, no question, because Ricky changes the speed of the game and those guys take advantage of those moments. And so Joe he's going to be fine. Like in the second half of the season, he had some great moments up as forward for us. Then he did some really good things on the wing where he's slightly more comfortable. But I thought he really got going sort of mid-season when we were able to start playing more forward passes, finding him in more dynamic situations, and then I think he really got himself going. So those two guys are going to benefit a lot from having a guy like Ricky back, who just the way he plays balls through the lines and changes the tempo and attracts attention to him, things like that. They're going to see a whole new set of like situations that they didn't get as many of this year that they're going to get again next year.
Thank you.
Hey, Greg. You put Ricky back on the field healthy. With the emergence of Elijah, Harbor, Cuevas, is the roster build ahead of schedule, do you think, going to next year?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, I think there's, we're talking through, there's work to do for sure. But when you see guys like Harbor emerging and Elijah emerging, next year I would say we need to be good and we need to be deep. Because with the break that's going to come for however many, 6-7 weeks, whatever it is in the middle of the season for the World Cup, things are just going to get pushed together on either side, which means you're going to have to play more games more frequently, and we're going to have to rotate, and you're going to want to keep your level high. And so having those guys emerge, it definitely helps us to look at it and go, okay, we're seeing our depth and we're seeing quality kind of emerging in our roster, and now we have to be very specific about what pieces we need to try to, again, raise our level. And some of that's in the starting group, and some of that is going to be in the depth of things as well. So, but certainly anybody who grew up this year is a positive thing for what the future will look like. So, yeah.
Hi, Coach. Steve Honor from FIFA.com. Congratulations on the win. Could you just talk a little bit about what kind of presence Maya Yoshida has been for you this season? 37 years old, just finished his 22nd season in professional soccer. What kind of presence has he been for you on and off the pitch?
Yeah, Maya's a consummate professional. I mean, he's a guy that just works so hard. He's so disciplined. He's routine, detail oriented in the things he does. So he's a great example for guys. You don't play as many years as you said because you do things lax. You play that long because you're on it and you're super professional, and that's Maya. So I think again, just his presence, leadership in that type of way is helps a group, especially when you have some young guys around that are developing and are coming along. It helps to have a professional like Maya around, no question. This was probably one of the first years in his career where he had some soft tissue stuff that he had to deal with. So it was start and stop. We still had to rely on him whenever he was healthy. We were relying on him heavy again at 37, and that's a lot for him. But he wouldn't have it any other way. I can tell you, if there was ever, even if he was kind of injured, he was fighting to be ready to play. So that's another thing, just a guy who wants to be on the field and will give anything to be on the field is a great example for the next guys that are going to be taking on those types of mentality, those types of roles.
Thanks for your time, Greg.
Good.
Thank you, Greg.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
Maya, and then Joseph, if you don't have to step up first.
My little margarita.
Here right now? Okay. I think Greg's gonna address the teams that we have a minute together.
At the same time.
Do you guys have any questions about what Natalie shared about a postseason press conference the week of October 27th? We're gonna include, it'll include Will Kuntz, it'll include Ricky Pooch, it'll include as much of the roster as we can, so we'll get at least 10 minutes over here.
How many people do you think you're going to put in it, like in total?
Not sure yet. We're